Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Dick Chaney, the 46th vice president who served alongside George W. Bush, who was an architect in America's war on terror, has died. He died of complications from pneumonia and cardio and vascular disease, his family said in a statement. Chaney grappled with ongoing cardiovascular problems for the majority of adulthood and underwent a heart transplant in 2012. In a statement released Tuesday morning, his family called him a great and good man who taught his children and grandchildren to love our country and to live lives of courage, honor, love, kindness, and fly fishing. They added, "We are grateful beyond measure for all Dick Chaney did for our country, and we are blessed beyond measure to have loved and been loved by this noble giant of a man." Chaney had a decades-long career in politics, serving in the U.S. House as a Republican from Wyoming and later being tapped as President Gerald Ford's White House Chief of Staff. He also served as Defense Secretary under President George H.W. Bush before becoming his son's VP. Chaney is considered one of the most powerful VPs in history, molding the Bush administration's foreign policy, particularly advocating for the American invasion of Iraq after the 9/11 attacks. During his Meet the Press interview just 5 days after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, he famously said any nation, including Afghanistan, that provides sanctuary to terrorists will face the full wrath of the United States. He turned heads during the 2024 election when he declared Donald Trump, your president, a threat to the Republic and endorsed Democrat Kamala Harris. Dick Chaney was 84 years old. Family, I'm gonna call a strike and a ball a ball. Okay, he caught his snap and he declared Donald Trump a threat to the Republic. Too much, too little, too late. Because he and the Republican Party had plenty of opportunities to not even allow him in the first place. Yeah, fam, they let him in. And I'll tell you something else. Dick Chaney will forever be remembered as the bully he was. I don't know where this family gets off talking about how noble Dick Chaney was. This dude was a war criminal. That's right, I said it. He was a war criminal, right along with George W. Bush, because they illegally went to war with Iraq and Afghanistan. Well, they really didn't go to war with them. They just went over there and bullied them and killed a bunch of people. You know, really wasn't a war. I don't think you can call it a war when the deck is stacked so heavily in favor of one side. That's not war. That's annihilation. That's going over bullying people who you know can't defend themselves against you. They knew Iraq wasn't responsible for 9/11. They knew Afghanistan was not responsible for 9/11. That was their excuse to go in and kill those people and take over their territory and gain access to their resources. That's what that was about. Nobody can convince me that 9/11 was not an inside job. If you don't believe 9/11 was an inside job, consider this. The owner of the insurance policy for the Twin Towers at the time of the September 11, 2001 attacks was the leaseholder, a consortium led by Larry Silverstein of Silverstein Properties. Larry had finalized a 99-year lease on the World Trade Center complex from the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey on July 24, 2001, just 6 weeks before the attacks. As part of the deal, he acquired an insurance policy with a face amount of approximately $3.55 billion, which included coverage for acts of terrorism. But wait, there's more. Following the attacks, Larry engaged in a lengthy legal dispute with numerous insurers involved in the policy, arguing that the two separate plane crashes constituted two occurrences for insurance purposes, which would essentially double the payout. The legal battle was eventually settled for, get this family, $4.55 billion, which was at the time the largest insurance payout in U.S. history. At the time, that money was for the rebuilding of the World Trade Center. Don't know how much went towards the rebuilding of the World Trade Center, but that's an awful lot of money. Contractors raked in over $138 billion from the Iraq War. None benefited more than KBR, once known as Kellogg, Brown and Root, a former subsidiary of Halliburton, once ran by, you guessed it, ding, 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 Dick Chaney, George W. Bush's number one, right? Guess how much KBR raked in of that $138 billion? $39.5 billion. $38.5 billion in government contracts. Can you say nepotism, boys and girls? You better believe Buddy got paid. So think about that for a moment, fam. Let that sink in. No wonder he wanted to go to war so badly. He was going to get paid. Fam, do you see what's happening? These people are sacrificing our family members' lives so they can get paid. This ain't got nothing to do with right and wrong, and this has nothing to do with saving humanity, getting rid of the bad guys. They are the bad guys. Today, you're going to see many reports online and on television about Dick Chaney and what a great American patriot he was. They'll talk about how he stood in the gap for America to get back at the terrorists who ran planes into buildings on 9/11. Oh man, they're going to build him up to be such a great guy. But remember what the truth is. It was his actions, his lies and misdeeds that was responsible for killing thousands of people. Thousands. The truth is, Dick Chaney was a horrible human being. And he does not deserve your respect or your tears. R.I.P. Young Bleed. No more talk.